I'm a bit scared of what you're going to say in the UK. I mean, I know at the best of times you had questions about what the government was doing in place. Is this a mistake? We also heard that, zinger really from the IMF yesterday.
Well, listen, when you have a country, forget the name UK. If I just gave you the number, 6% current account deficit, 6 to 7% fiscal deficit, inflation 10 to 12, and rates of 2, no matter what will be, you'll just sell it. Then, because you say it's the UK, says, hey, come on, these numbers don't apply to the UK. So actually what the UK just found out, if you look at the data, the raw number, and you take out the flag, you've already sold it. And so what's happening is they are reckoning that UK, it's 1.5% of global GDP, pound is about 3% of reserve status, and it doesn't deserve to be so because, they're burning paper. You have a twin deficit, and 10% negative real rates. No one would hold this paper, just using a brain.
So how do you see this playing out, Davide? I mean, are we facing potentially a financial crisis here in the UK?
No, I don't think it's a financial crisis. It will be a pension crisis, that's for sure, because, when you have a regulator that forces the pension to basically receive fixed rates in the UK, basically £1 trillion has been lost for pensioners. I mean, that's a number, yeah? Forget the tax cuts. £1 trillion has been lost mark to market for pensioner. This should be the headline. And so what I think is going to happen is, it's very simply, Bank of England will have to hike rates faster than the US dollar. That's it. No more, no less.
David,
by the way, which is what any other emerging market country has already done. And what the pound has done, and the gilts market last week, which is what scared me, for the first time ever, I've seen what is supposed to be a developed market, the UK, reacting in bond market and in currency like an emerging market.
But Davide, if you take a step back...
I've never seen it in 26 years, by the way. So I just want to flag it.
Was this just a policy mistake because of incompetence? If you look at what was announced at the mini budget, I mean, it's radical, but it's also not that radical. So is it the timing, or is it really the policies put in place?
It's a combination of factors. First of all, I think you have big policy mistake over the last 2-3 years out of central bank that were ignoring inflation signal. You had inflation signal across any proper commodity, whether it were nuts for Nutella, whether it was wood, whether iron. And by the way, green transition is highly inflationary. Okay? So you have a structural base of inflation. Secondly, every government that was foot on the accelerator on aid, whether it's Biden, furlough scheme, whether it's the UK, money for everyone, yeah? The same happened in Europe. So basically, it became like the money trees. And I can see why at the beginning of the pandemic that might make sense. I think people kept the accelerator for too long. And then what's going to happen is, at a certain time, you have day of reckoning. Central banks were forecasting inflation 0 to 2, the number is close to 10. When you're wrong by 5x, it means you just have no idea. And so what's happening now, they need to put basically the auto brake. And when you put the auto brake, what happens? Then you need to be very careful. And here they came with a budget which is buying more votes, was absolutely unnecessary to cut the 45p band. And they just did it, I think, out of arrogance. And what happens? Nobody needs to own pound unless you're a British company or a British citizen. Because after Brexit, England ain't exporting much.